Welcome back, everyone. We are resuming the discussion that I'm having with my guest, Saeed Ahmed, a retired psychiatrist and Egora user. But I just want to put all of this in context again for anyone who might be joining us just now. Saeed and I, we're here to discuss some ideas and issues that we each care about. And maybe we succeed in coming to an agreement or maybe not. But it's not just up to us. There are people out there watching, listening, thinking, and judging what makes the most sense. So, to all you viewers, if what either of us is saying resonates with you, please go ahead and support our ideas in the Agora, in your ideological profile. We all share in the power here. Okay, round two. It's your turn, Saeed. What idea you got for me?
Well, thanks, Zari. Hope everybody gets a chance to watch part one. It should make for good viewing. So we're going to switch from economics and monetary policy to philosophy. And so my idea is relatively short, so I'll just read it now. The most important truths can't be proved by logic or facts. Okay, so the most important truths cannot be proved by logic or facts. So let me just sort of clarify a few things here. So what do I mean by logic? In this context, what I mean is deductive reasoning primarily. So that means is if you have true premises and your argument is valid according to laws of logic, then the deduction that you will get will be sound. And so that's one part. And then facts essentially refer to inductive reasoning. So, this includes, in this case, experimentation, sociological research, et cetera, things like that. Or, it can even include anecdotes. So the point here is that some of the most important truths cannot be proven by either use of logic or use of inductive reasoning. So what are these truths? And it seems counterintuitive. Why can't you prove truths by logic or facts? And so I think there are two questions there. What are some of these truths and what makes them important? So I'll start with an example of a type of fact or a type of situation that exists in the world that it's really hard to make a proof about. So if you have a piece of art, for example, and you say something like that piece of art is very beautiful, it's very difficult to prove that. You can appeal to various sorts of things, but people ultimately will form their own opinions. And there's nothing you can do based on prior pieces of art, or compilation of pieces of art, or using some kind of internal logic that you might apply to try to convince them, at the end of which they must say, okay, now you've convinced me, I agree with you, this is a beautiful piece of art. Now, there are some examples of this, interesting examples in history. At some point, like if this video gets posted online, I can put some of these links in. But in Germany, for example, when the Nazis came in, they had a pretty strong reaction to art, expressionist art in particular, that was available at the time and popular in Germany, and they basically banned it and instead, put in their own type of art which they sanctioned. And this can all be viewed online, and it's very interesting, and it would illustrate why these things have a certain amount of subjectivity. So there are certain types of things that you can't really prove, and I would claim that art is an important one, and therefore anything that you say about art, which may seem true to you, would be difficult to prove to someone else. But art is not the only type of thing that this applies to. It applies to beauty in general, I would claim, things like justice, fairness, or even what it means to do something that is good. And so this is my claim. I'll pause there and see if you have any initial comments or questions.
You know, I was trying to take some notes at the same time as you were speaking. A lot of things going through my head. First, you know, because you give this example of arts, but I'm kind of surprised that you use this as an example of the truths that you're talking about, because to me that would really be just a matter of taste and preference. Like, I wouldn't say that those are the truths that this idea is even talking about. Um, so, yeah, I don't think that really pertains to art. And another thing about just the, I guess, I suppose the truth of it, like this idea itself is almost self, like, is this idea supposed to be a truth? And how do we know that it's a truth? I mean, like, is it a fact? Is that why it's is it true because it's a fact? But if it's true because it's a fact, then it says the truth can't be proven by logic or facts. This idea seems inherently problematic to me. And then, you know, you were also talking about logic. I mean, logic is about connecting things from like premises to a conclusion, but logic doesn't make assertions about the truth or falsity um, of the uh, of the premises. But if you do have true premises, whatever they are, because like it seems that this idea is assuming that there are some true premises, well, then if you applied logic to it, then you should be also able to arrive at a true conclusion. So that also seems problematic to me with this idea.
Oh, yeah. So there are a few things there. So this is a tricky issue when you talk about logic, right? Most of our disagreements in real life occur around premises, assuming people are, you know, arguing in good faith and are able to sort of, you know, follow the basic laws of logic. And the truth of premises is in a way not that straightforward to establish. And that actually, in a way, I think supports what I was saying. Because, you know, a lot of times the premises are the most important pieces that you need to then make further claims. And
Sorry to interrupt, but it seems that then the premises are then the truths that you're talking about. I think it's like the premises are then the facts, the
yeah,
observable
okay.
facts.
So then you get into, okay, certain premises you can, I suppose, prove to be true if they're facts in the world, right? Like, there's a cow outside my window. Uh, if that happens to be true, then you can make certain claims based on the fact that there's a cow outside my window. And, you know, some of those could be inductive. In other words, after a certain point, there'll be feces from the cow also outside my window.
That's
Um,
exactly what I
right.
was thinking.
Right.
Yeah,
So, you know,
you know there's gonna be cow shit in front of your
yeah,
house.
yeah, yeah. There'll be less grass, things like that. But there are other things which, you know, other premises that are not that straightforward to kind of come to some kind of agreement on. And the things that you can't come to that kind of agreement on are some of the more important things, like, you know, what is it to be just? What is it to be fair? You know, what is it to be good? And that to me is what I'm trying to get at. But you've already sort of pointed out a few things which I think require improvement, because that was the other point you made, which was, you know, there seems to be kind of a tautology in here somewhere, and I need to sort of figure that out, because maybe the word truths is not the right word. Maybe it needs to be claims. Some of the most important claims cannot be proven by logic or facts. So that might be a better place to go, because truth is a kind of a loaded word.
See, I kind of I can relate to what you're trying to say with this idea. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with it or I support it as it is, but I get what this is after, because you know, Egora actually works in many of the same ways. Like, if you look at my ideological profile, my 23 point idea It's not really an idea that I readily advocate because they are some pretty big claims. I would say that they're really important. They're fundamental claims. And I would say that it's as close to truth as we can get. I can't prove it. I wouldn't ask someone else to support it because I can't really prove it. But to me, those claims seem to make the explain the reality in which we live in the simplest and most cohesive way. So it's really, I suppose it would be simplicity. It would be minimizing complexity. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, can you give me an example of like one of these things in your profile, if you know, if you can access it quickly, or if you remember off the top of your head that you feel would be in that type of category?
Yeah, and so actually, gladly. I mean, that's why I keep my ideological profile always handy. uh, Reality is a fundamentally mysterious duality. So this is section one of my 23-point idea. Reality is a fundamentally mysterious duality between the realm of subjective experience, also known as consciousness, and the realm of physics, time, space, matter, and energy. It seems we will never learn which is most real because the realm of experience appears to be generated by the realm of physics, while the realm of physics is dependent and or can be reduced to experience. The two are inextricably interdependent on one another, like two sides of the same coin. So, like, especially with that last clause, the two are inextricably interdependent on one another, like two sides of the same coin. That's a claim, and it's a very bold claim. It's basically saying that reality has two parts. We don't know which one of these is the most real. You know, we have two parts of reality. One is saying, I'm the most real. The other saying, I'm the most real. And they're kind of fighting over it. But what this idea is saying, no, they're both real. They're both just lying to you about which one is the most real. The reality is kind of playing a joke on you. I can't prove this. You know, how do I
Yeah.
prove this? But this is a pretty important idea to me. So
Yeah, no, that one that you just said, I mean, first of all, nicely put together. I mean, it's kind of a, you know, you use some, it sounds good the way you put it together. I mean, but obviously, you know, you're talking about deeply sort of the deep metaphysical questions which people have been debating for ever since people have been debating. So yeah, I don't expect you'll be proving it anytime soon. You know, that to me some, you know, some of the meat of philosophy. Um, I have another one, maybe to kind of take it down about 20 different notches, you know, which is difficult to sort of claim that you can't prove. Is something porn or not? Right? I mean, sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it's not. And the other thing that's interesting about that is that actually once everyone agrees that it's porn,
I,
if
I
you
just want
ask,
to I just want to remind all the viewers out there that we're talking with a retired psychiatrist. So.
right, but but you know, once everybody agrees, okay, and you can get people to agree, does, you know, they don't know, like if you say, okay, now, all right, now tell me what actually makes this porn versus not. By the way, that Hitler stuff that I mentioned, if you look at that Nazi sanction art, the stuff that they thought was good art, I challenge people to look at those images, okay, and I'll put the link in, and tell me why that isn't porn. Uh, uh, so you know that there are several sort of complications with this, which are interesting, and so now, okay, now porn is not the most important idea in the world, okay, but what I think it demonstrates is that there is a sort of ambiguity about some of these things, which are you know, rational thought, reasoning can't really get to the bottom of. That's really all I'm saying. And you know, in my initial sort of claim, I guess, my idea, I probably need to word it a little bit better, though.
Yeah, I want to look at some of that Nazi porn.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's not Nazi porn. It's actually what they it's an opening of a gallery in Munich, and you know, you have this big celebration, and Hitler is in there, and some of his top people, and they're looking at all this stuff, and I'm like, huh, this is interesting. And then you compare it to the stuff that they threw out, which these days is considered great art, and I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Why is this happening? And but yeah, it's interesting.
Wait, while I have you on the show, so you're saying you like the Nazi art or you don't
No,
like?
it's horrible. It's actually horrible. And but it's interesting at the same time, like for a lot of different reasons, one of which, is like it sort of looks kind of porn-ish, like quiche porn. It's not even, but and but the other part is, why do they do that? I mean, it's a very interesting set of things to put in the museum and feature them. And but we're kind of getting off track here.
No,
And
no,
it's my fault.
no, this is interesting because this is an interesting problem. I like this problem. It's fun to think about. But one of the things that I love Igora about is it's interesting that you talk about logic and facts, but you don't mention markets. And what's fascinating to me about what Igora does is like certain ideas as they resonate with a lot of people. Well, maybe not markets, but I mean stock markets. So maybe the most important truths can actually be proven by the stock market of ideas, which is Igora. If a certain idea resonates with a larger and larger number of people, and as that idea rises within a population for people to declare that as a part of their philosophy, maybe that's when we can begin to recognize these ideas as truth. Maybe, and I mean, it's not proof in a typical sense, but maybe that's why. What did I say? It's not proof that it's not proof of truth in the typical sense, but maybe we need to expand our thought of truth to actually include stock market derived truths. Um,
Yeah.
and and so maybe Igora will actually. Oh, actually, this is my claim that Igora will help humanity discover these truths, these fundamental truths about our reality by how strongly these ideas resonate with people. And maybe we're going to use it to define what porn is. I don't know, or maybe not.
I mean, I
It's
guess just to sort of tie this together, what you're saying is you just show a bunch of people like a certain number of images and they vote essentially. And if, most of the people vote up certain images, then those qualify within the category and the ones that don't count. And you can apply that to anything. So it's sort of it's truth by democracy, I guess, in a way. I mean, you're using the metaphor of the market, but it's also, I think you can say it's sort of a vote in a sense, right? Like if enough people, but yeah, why wouldn't it be more like a vote? Like, somebody says yay or nay. Um,
that would be an interesting question to explore. To be honest with you, we've been having an exciting discussion, and I think if we start exploring that, I'm worried that we might get too like pensive, and this will start to get really boring
yeah.
because it's much fun. Because at this point, slow us down.
But no, I mean, I think that we kind of got to what I really wanted to get to, which was, just to sort of throw some of this out there, this whole realm of claims that, you can't get to very easily. And part of I think this creates issues in the world because since these are so hard to get to and you can't get to them in a straightforward way through going through logical deduction or sort of showing statistical facts or whatever, that's why you get a lot of conflict because different people can reason in good faith and arrive at different places because these fundamental truths are so elusive.
Um, Yeah. So, okay, I was using this time to think about that a little bit. I'm just thinking that as opposed to voting, using a kind of a stock market, and I'm not saying really we would be using Agora for this, maybe some other adaptation of this kind of format, but maybe it would allow us to sketch out a more like an extra dimensional image. Like voting to me seems to be um, more narrow. It seems to have less dimensions. Especially voting is it's less fluid over time than investing into ideas as opposed to voting on ideas. Maybe I should develop my own pornographic profile. all these images. I should develop list all these images, which I think are the most pornographic to the least, or something like that. And voting doesn't necessarily do all of that. Uh, so I think there's more. It's a more interactive, more developed. But again, we would have to explore that.
So this is interesting, right? I thought we'd be talking about justice, fairness, and goodness, but we ended up talking
Those are
about cow,
easy.
cow shit and porn.
Those are easy, man. No, here, I'll tell you what justice is. Justice is the friendship of strangers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's not bad. That's a good one. Like I would up vote that, or if you don't want to go with that dimensional concept of yours, which sounds interesting. By the way, that dimensional concept of yours, kind of how the machine learning stuff works, I think. Machines find these characteristics in common, and they sort of cluster them, like unsupervised learning. So maybe that's another way to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's going to dedicate a lot of time and resources
Somebody
to
probably
figure.
will. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, okay. Well, so we're at the 21-minute mark. We've been talking about this idea. Where do you want to take this? Do you
I think
want
I'm good for now. I mean, I could open up a few more can of worms, but probably that would extend it beyond, our time.
Yeah, because at this time, I would say that I'm not ready to support this idea. I find it problematic for the many things that we discussed. Um, I- yeah, I mean, right. I don't know what else to say about that.
Oh, that's good. No. I think that the discussion was good. So I appreciate that. Yeah, no, this was fun.
Any closing thoughts?
No, I just want to thank you for asking to have this discussion. I think this was a good discussion, and maybe in the future we can have more of these.
Hell yeah. Um, okay, so that was the second half of our show. Fascinating stuff as always. And again, to our viewers, if any of these ideas speak for you, please support them in the Agora so they can rise up, so more people can see them, and so more people can support them, and so we can find what the truth is. Just had to add that in there. Saeed, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks, sorry, it was great to be here.
Awesome. And thank you for those who joined us watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the show. Actually, please do like and subscribe if you enjoy the show. I don't think I say this and emphasize this enough because that really helps. But hey, if the ideas that we discussed today do not represent you well enough, please go ahead and create your own ideas in Egora. Tell others about those ideas. Come on this Egora Experience show to discuss your ideas with me, or best yet, start doing your own Egora Experience program. Thanks again, everyone. See you in the Agora.